So we've talked a lot about what creativity is not, but that begs the question, well, what is it?
What is it?
Right.
We better have an answer.
Yeah, right.
It's about changing perspectives. Creativity is about changing perspectives. So we have knowledge, right? And we take the knowledge to think about whatever it is we're doing. That's ordinary thinking. And the difficulty comes when, out of habit and repeated use, we get committed to particular ways of seeing the world and thinking about the world. And what creativity is all about, the process of creativity, is breaking those commitments and changing the perspective that we take on the world. It's not just about learning new facts. It's about understanding things in a new way.
So one day I was walking home, actually strolling because it was such a nice spring day, and I was looking at the beautiful lush grass, how green it was, and I happened to look down, and there among the green grass was a $10 bill, and I reached down and grabbed it. Now, this was a new experience for me. It's definitely novel because it's not every day I walk home and discover a $10 bill, and it's also useful. Since I found the $10 bill, I can use it to buy any number of things, coffee for the next couple of days, lunch, who knows. But it's not creative, because creativity requires a change in perspectives or seeing something in a new way. It doesn't mean that something happened by accident, and it doesn't mean simply acquiring a new piece of knowledge. You have to actually change your point of view on something. And so just finding a $10 bill may be novel, it may be useful, but it's not creative.
So here's a very simple example, a study from two Illinois psychologists, Anderson and Pichert. They had people come in and read a story about two kids skipping school and wandering around one of their houses, right? So two kids skipping school, they go to somebody's house or whatever, and the participants in the study were asked to imagine while they were reading that they were a prospective home buyer. So they hear about the boys walking in this room, walking in that room, and all kinds of information. And at the end of reading this little story about the boys skipping school, the participants in the study were asked to recall everything they possibly could from the story. So they remembered, say, that the yard was big, that there was new siding on the house, that the basement was damp, that there was a broken window, or whatever. Then they did another task. But then what they did was they were asked to imagine now that they were burglars looking to rob houses and see if they could recall anything else from the story that they had forgotten previously. And what's interesting is at this point, instead of being a home buyer, now that they're a burglar, they went, oh yeah, wasn't there jewelry in that upstairs bedroom? And was there fine china in the cabinet? So items that they neglected when they were thinking about being home buyers now popped to mind that they were in the role of being a burglar. So that is, when we switch our perspectives, say from home buyer to burglar or something like that, we're going to think about the information that we have differently. We're also going to remember different knowledge and bring that to bear in a different way. And that's what creativity is about. When we're changing our perspectives, we're not only transforming how we're thinking now, we're also transforming what we get from memory, what we remember, and what we would imagine going forwards. So we started thinking about perspective change and what does that really mean, and that got us to, talk about some burglars and think about, wait a minute, is that really a burglar? Is it a rescuer? And in general, when you read a story or see a movie and there's a plot twist, you're going through a perspective change, right? And in that moment, you are thinking, hey, wait a minute, the past isn't quite what I thought it was, and the present isn't quite what I thought it was a moment ago, and that leads to a whole different future. And that's what the core of the creative process is about, is changing our perspective so that we can see the past differently, the present differently, and imagine different futures. And that means that in order to understand the creative process, we need to know how it sits in this larger process of just ordinary thinking. So creativity helps us think differently, which means it's set in the context of how we normally think.